In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how you can automate your mix, bounce, and stem printing process in Logic Pro using Forte Export. Let's dive right into it. I have a Logic Pro session open here, and I've completed my mix. And as you can see here, I've got my Forte Export window open. And Forte Export is going to help me bounce not only just the mix, but all my deliverables. And by deliverables, I mean different stems, instrumental mix, a cappella mix, and what have you that you need to be printed alongside your main mix. Now, of course, you can just go to your Logic session, press Command V. This will bring up your old-fashioned bounce window. You can select all your parameters and click OK. But what this will do is it will bounce your mix just like always, okay? But if I want to bounce, say, my a cappella mix or my instrumental mix, then I have to go in, select my tracks, mute or solo my tracks, and that's boring. Nobody wants to do that. There's a much better way to do this with Forte. Let me show you. Okay, so first of all, there's a basic way to do things with Forte. And a little bit more advanced way. And by advanced, I don't mean difficult. I mean smart way, okay? I will show you all the different combinations and different methods in just a minute. So I've got my mix ready here. And before I go further, I should mention that I have worked using a mixing template that I like to use for all my projects. I'm not a professional, but I still like my mixing session to look neatly laid out because that makes the entire creative process much quicker, consistent, and more reliable. So I've routed my tracks in a way that makes sense for my way of working, but that's really important because what Forte does, Forte is able to read all the settings off of your template and give you a working space that makes sense for you based on your template, okay? So if I go to Forte now and I create custom print, which is the most basic function to bounce either your mix, either your mix or a combination of stems, you will see that Forte shows me all the available tracks and buses here. And I can just select whatever I want to be printed. I can give it a name, in this case, drums and bass. I want this to be a single file and I can create a print, okay? And this will appear here. And I can populate a list of custom prints. So for example, I can go percussion, this will create a print, and this will basically create another print here, and then I can just go to print selected, select the type of file that I want to be outputted to my destination folder, and roll with that. This is the most basic way of exporting your tracks with Forte Export. But I like to work in a much smarter way. I like to visually see my project and visually work off of that so that I can just select the tracks that I want to bounce. And then using just two types of shortcuts, I can tell Forte what stems I want to be bounced, okay? So let's say that I want my drums and my bass together, and I want them as a single file, single stereo interlead file. Then I need to use the shortcut command Option C. And Forte will ask me, what's the name that you want to give your print? Okay, so that is going to be drums and bass, and I'll add it to my list. And if I go to Forte, you will see that it's populated the first slot in here. And this is a grouped file. You can tell by the icon here. Now, I can change this at any point. So if I want the tracks to be outputted as single tracks, I can just go and click and on the symbol here, and you will see this change, and also the format changes, okay? So up to me. Right, so now I can go back here, and maybe I want my lead vocals to be bounced as an individual file. So Command Option C. Again, in Forte, I will see this, lead vocals. I can change the name if I want to. I'll change it to lead vox. That's it. And I can go on and on and on and start populating a list of prints, which is fine. It's not the fastest method though, and I'll show you that in a minute. My favorite way of working with Forte Export is using my own export template because it's true, export makes things super fast and quick. However, I don't want to each time prepare my export layout here before I bounce my stems or my entire mix. There's a reason why I've created a template for myself, not just because I like the little collars under here or because I'm a fancy guy. No, I just want things to be orderly and easy to manage. So if I go back to Forte, I have created my own export template in advance. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to load it into the app. So I'm going to go to the export. I've clicked up here where it says export settings. And now here I can open a file. Now, I happen to have my Forte export for Logic. Export categories. I know that each time I open up a project, there are some export categories that I want to choose from because I want to have the freedom to say, I want this or I don't want this. Okay, so I might want an a cappella print, an ambience print, some effects, and instrumental up to me. If I click confirm and I create custom print now, you will see that these categories have appeared here. Now, with my pre-made categories populated here, I can just say, okay, I want to bounce an instrumental mix, and then I can tick it. And it automatically selects all the tracks that make up my instrumental mix, which is super convenient. And I can create a print. So this will basically start populating my final list of prints. But what happens if I have multiple projects and I want Forte Export to bounce the same kind of stems and mixes each time in the same way? What I can do is I can use favorite prints. So the favorites are a very intelligent way to speed up the process even more. When I do create custom print, I can create, again, an instrumental mix. But this time, I want to add it to my favorite prints, okay? So when I create a print, now this is a favorite, not just a category. What this means is that when I switch projects and when I open up Forte again, this print will still appear here and the content will be reflected based on the new project, which is incredibly useful because I don't even have to worry about selecting the right tracks each and every time because Forte is going to do that for me because Forte, as I mentioned in the beginning, reads things off of your mixing template, not the individual tracks. So it looks at your routings and it's able to tell which tracks goes where and it automatically select the right tracks for every project, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'll create another print. I'll go again with my a cappella. I'll pick a cappella. It selects the right tracks, and then I add to favorite prints, create print. So now I can go to print selected. I can give my file base name if I want to. I'll just leave it empty. I can decide whether I want to bounce my stems through the master if I got some processing going on. In this case, I don't have it, so I'm not interested in this. And, you know, I can go and select all my usual suspects here that you will normally find in the main bounce window in Logic as well. And I can select an output folder. At this point where, you know, when everything looks correct, I can just hit print. I'll select print location. That's a good reminder that I haven't selected my print location. I'll basically select the same folder as my project for the sake of this demo. Okay. And then I'll hit print. So what this does, it's going to do everything for me at this point, and it's going to automate all the bouncing for me. I'm not touching anything. Logic is doing things based on what Forte Export tells it to do. And that's it. So that's how easy it is to automate your mix bounce process with Forte Export. It's also very, very fast, as you can see here. Instrumental mix, a cappella, both completed. I can open up my folder, and here they are.